Hi, thank you for joining me again. And today I wanted to talk about a very current problem. I wanted to talk about anxiety, of course, which is something people have always had. That's not very acute, but it is the spring of 2020, time of the coronavirus. So I wanted to talk about anxiety and the coronavirus. Now, a lot of people I talk to feel very anxious, and there are also, of course, a lot of people who do suffer from anxiety. Now, the coronavirus doesn't exactly make it better. However, I want to do this a little differently. Now, there's a very real fear what could happen if I do get the coronavirus. But I don't want to talk about that so much, because anxiety, and especially a lot of the anxiety people are experiencing, might not actually be just about the coronavirus, but about other things. I do see a lot of people with anxiety even without the coronavirus, and maybe the coronavirus does intensify the feeling, or does intensify the fear that something could happen. But as I would often see it, there is already a significant level of underlying anxiety, and what the coronavirus does is it essentially intensifies that temporarily. Well, temporarily, because obviously at some point it's gonna pass. The underlying anxiety is what I really want to talk about today, because if you can reduce the underlying anxiety, then also the anxiety, the temporary anxiety, will also decrease. Now, anxiety is different from fear, and if you've seen me in one of my other talks before, or heard me in one of my other talks before, you might remember that fear is about something specific, while anxiety is essentially about uncertainty, an uncertain threat. And that you, with a fear, for example, if you're afraid of snakes or you're afraid of lions, then there's a specific fear, so you know what you're afraid of. Now, with anxiety, that's different. Anxiety is, I don't actually even know what I'm afraid of. Or I might have a rough understanding about what I'm afraid of, but there's even uncertainty. There's still a lot of uncertainty. So anxiety is about uncertainty. And often when I see people who are suffering from anxiety, there's an uncertainty not necessarily about an external event, but an uncertainty about feelings, for example, internal events, emotions. If I'm sitting on an airplane, I might be anxious that I could get anxious, and I don't know where to go. If I'm giving a presentation, I'm anxious that I might get anxious, or I might get to the point where I can't even talk anymore out of fear. Not because my vocal cords are giving up on me, or I don't know, the audience is gonna throw bottles at me or something. No, but that I could feel anxious. And I think, especially at a time when there is a lot of uncertainty outside, it is important to also look a little bit at the uncertainty on the inside. Now, uncertainty on the inside, anxiety is a signal something is out of sync. So, for example, people who are in jobs, I see people who are where they feel the job makes me anxious. I'm in a relationship where I feel anxious, or something about my social network makes me feel anxious. But for example, let's take the example of the job. If I feel anxious in my job, it means something is out of sync, something is not working for me. And quite often that's the case when my needs and values and aspirations don't align with what I'm thinking I'm getting out of the job. So the job and I call them basic parameters, the needs, the values and aspirations don't align. And I think it's important, especially in a time where, for example, now, where a lot of people either are temporarily out of work or are actually looking for a new job and have more time, it is a good time to think about, what do I need? What do I value? What do I aspire to? Now, a lot of people I see essentially run away from that question. They work so much and their day is filled with so many activities that they don't even have to think so much about it. But it is not such a difficult question. You already have a lot of data. The life you've lived until now, it gives you a lot of data on what could align with those needs and values. Because at the times in your life when you were happy, or when you felt, essentially when you were emotionally on a roll, when you felt this is good, this is working, then those were times where, well, it was working. Means you were getting your needs fulfilled, your values were met, you were getting closer to your aspirations, to fulfilling your aspirations. So it is important, especially in a time like that, to think back, reflect a little bit on what were the good times, what were the not so good times, because it gives you information, insight into your needs, your values, your aspirations. And it is not necessarily about being nostalgic or reliving the past. It's really looking for clues about what makes me tick. Because as we all are individuals, unique individuals, they are all a little different. We all have unique needs, values, and aspirations. Maybe we share a lot of them with others, but some of them, especially the constellation of the ones we have, is different. So there's no one else who can tell you exactly what they are. But it is a very interesting and exciting journey to find out for yourself what they are. And that can also help reduce anxiety in times like these, or in generally overall. Well, thank you again for joining me today. And if you have any questions or comments, you can use the comment section below. And I'm happy to hear from you. And I'm looking forward to see you next time. Thank you.